The fourth annual Week of Action on School Pushout took place from September 28th to October 5th, 2013. Youth, parents, and educators across 22 states called for an end to school pushout and for investment in education, not incarceration.
Ours is a community built on the strength drawn from the love of our children. This is parent power.
We encourage parent leadership. This is a parent-led effort, and we believe when parents exercise their power, the outcomes for children will be positive.
Today I came here because it's a youth summit. Today I learned we want our voices to be heard. Just say, like, if a teacher or principal suspend you for something that they don't know you did, they never ask you why did you do it. So anytime when you suspended, you want your voices to be heard, and that is what I learned today.
My name is Tashara Banks, and I learned that education and unity is the key to everything.
Throughout the week in Los Angeles, the Youth Justice Coalition held press conferences, trainings, and a tour of 2 schools using alternatives to policing, together with Children's Defense Fund and DSC Los Angeles. Cadre parents made their voices heard at a South LA high school to call for implementation of PBIS. In Northern California, Black Organizing Project and the DSC Bay Area chapter held a pushback on Pushout potluck and produced videos on school pushout.
I feel like in schools, things are going to happen. Kids are going to be kids. And for them to be penalized and then forced into the juvenile justice system, that's not right. And then if you look at the statistics, it's mostly people of color.
Across the country, local gay-straight alliance networks held rallies and press conferences from Little Rock to St. Louis to Fresno.
I think restorative justice for me takes in the complexity of situations like school bullying and youth acting out in school, and it works towards ways as a community to figure out better ways to have justice, as opposed to just expelling a youth or suspending a youth, which really does not work to address the root of the problem and have some form of education around why what's happening is wrong.
Youth summits were held in Denver by GSA Network and Padres y Jóvenes Unidos. In Minneapolis, Twin Cities Save the Kids held a rally, workshop, and film screening, as well as a panel on racial disparities in school discipline with Minnesota Minority Education Partnership.
Being amongst the most misunderstood, we know we're not defined by the neighborhood in which we live in. Who we really are will come to a shock to those who think they know who we are. Just as Martin Luther King Jr., we all have a dream. A dream to end the chain of poverty, to not work at jobs that will damage our bodies, to make for a better society, and to have a voice in democracy. Dreams have a goal, goals have barriers, barriers are broken down by people, and people have a passion for change, and change is what will happen. We won't stop until we get what we want and need. Now, can you see us?
Advanced Youth Leadership Power and Kofi Power Pack in Chicago held teach-ins and forums on school pushout, and Project NEA, Illinois Safe Schools Alliance, and Chicago Freedom School held a youth panel and town hall forum.
The school-to-prison pipeline is one of the most important human rights challenges for our nation today.
The research shows that there is no evidence that zero-tolerance policy makes schools safer or an improved student behavior. In fact, most of the research suggests that the overuse of suspensions and exclusion may actually increase the likelihood of later criminal conduct, largely because these kids are home from school unsupervised because of parents who have to work.
In New Orleans, Flick hosted a transformative leadership training for parents. And in Miami, Power U held a teach-in on restorative justice. Youth and parents held events across Mississippi. Acer held teach-ins in Duck Hill and across the Delta, while Citizens for a Better Greenville participated in a block party, pep rally, and parade.
Nolly Jenkins Family Center and Sunflower County parents and students held a full week of activities in their communities on school pushout.
That's why it's important for us, even as young people, to know what our rights are when we are in school. That's why we must say no more incarceration. Educate me. Educate my friends. Educate all of us because we need that education.
Macomb Youth Council held a panel discussion on school pushout, and Activists with a Purpose hosted a workshop for students and parents. In the Northeast, Youth on Board, BSAC, and BYOP gathered youth stories about suspensions at train stations in Boston. And the Dignity in Schools campaign New York met with city council members and other policymakers.
And you guys are practicing how to convince that public official to endorse our campaign.
But on the long run, it's actually really beneficial for the students and creating that safe environment and also having dialogue between staff and students, which doesn't happen often within the system that we have right now, within this model that doesn't have dialogue, that doesn't have restorative justice, that constantly suspends but really doesn't look for the root of the problem.
Also in New York, Sisters and Brothers United and Drum held teach-ins and panel discussions on suspensions and immigrant students' rights. Teachers Unite hosted a screening of their film, Growing Fairness, about restorative justice in schools, which also screened in Washington, D.C. at an event held by youth group Critical Exposure. In New Jersey, parents in Paterson hosted a cookout and Know Your Rights workshop on out-of-school suspensions.
We want to bring attention to the fact that over 3.3 million children are suspended out of school yearly, and it's really out of control.
Youth and parents in North Carolina with Education Justice Alliance, Youth Organizing Institute, and NC Heat held the second annual march and speak out to end the school-to-prison pipeline and announce their moratorium campaign.
Why were the millions of dollars Wake County spent on police station contracts and security guards somehow easier to budget than even half the recommended number of counselors? See, our schools might look like prisons, but the bars aren't for keeping us in. They're for pushing us out.
In Georgia, Gwinnett Stop, Georgia Safe Schools Coalition, and Georgia Equality held the first annual graduation march on Georgia.
Los fondos que están dando para las cárceles, para mantener los jóvenes en las cárceles, son por ahí de un $88,000, por decir, al año, en comparación con $10,000 que están dando al año para los estudiantes en las escuelas.
Events were also held in Texas, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina.